Take your position. The show is about to start.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to On Screen, where we discuss all things cinema all the time. Here's your hosts.
the award goes to
Joe Brunett, Joe Cuffney, and Jesse Reichenstein. Lights, camera, action.
Okay, this episode, we are going to switch things up a little bit and talk about the new Apple show, Severance. Just episode 1 and 2. So,
yeah.
right.
Question: did either of you guys watch more than episode 2?
Not yet.
No, but I was thinking I almost did.
Okay, cool. I haven't either. I've only watched 1 and 2, but
That was like going to be my question to y'all is like, was it enough of a hook? Do you think you'll keep going? Because like I think I will. It's a really interesting premise, and I didn't know, like, I only knew what Jesse had told me about it, but I've definitely had the thought before of like, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you could like split your work brain and your home brain? But this, I think, is changing my mind.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys like how you felt about this, like if you would do it.
do we? I feel like because we talk about this in other episodes, and I never actually remember what we do. Do we want to give some disclaimer on what it is, or any background?
Yes.
Or
Yeah,
do
yes.
we want to?
Since it's your pick, why don't you give us a quick rundown?
Yeah. Should we just get into ratings though, and then we'll just
Let's do ratings first, and then
just wrap it up.
I do want to start saying before everything that we're going to do spoilers. I mean, if people don't know that
That's
by
a good
now,
call. It's a good call. Someone keeps watching every time and is like,
And
"Gosh,
they're
shit,
like,
they spoiled it again."
Okay, Jesse, you take it away since you picked.
Severance. It's the cast doesn't matter. It's about this program. It's like a very like tech empire-esque, where there's just like lots of shows where it's like I don't even think Google is like the right thing to say anymore, but some tech giant that operates everything in the world. And they have a program called Severance where they basically they sever your memory so that when you're at work on these certain creepy underground floors, is what it looks like, you only have memories of your work self and work, and you have no clue what your outside life is. And then when you leave work, you have no memory of your work life. And so it's like you're almost two different people. And that's about it. That's like the background.
It's a very interesting concept. I've never it's something interesting to think about, because like what you were saying, Joe, like I have thought about that. Like, what isn't it better for most people to like just cut off work completely? Because a lot of people have their work drama and they don't want to talk about it. So if you just don't know it.
Right. And there's also just the type of person that's like, I really want to be able to like be at home when I'm at home and be at work when I'm at work. It's especially interesting these days with have everyone's experienced remote work. It can get a little like blurry between like your work life and your home life. So it's like, wouldn't it be great if you could just have a hard cut? But like I never took this like this type of an approach. I was never like, oh, like, yeah, I wouldn't be able to actually think about like this part of my life when I'm doing this part of my life. I definitely don't like that. But
you were like, this is a utopian series about how amazing it would be.
Yeah, no, it's definitely dystopian. But it's funny because it's like almost the exact opposite of like just the like, the thing you'd wonder kind of like in passing, like, oh yeah, like I really wish I didn't have to think about work past 6 p.m. And sometimes you do, and you're like, well, wouldn't it be great if you could just enforce that? But no, it wouldn't be great.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, that'd be tricky.
I
did like really like I thought they made it sufficiently creepy to like, not creepy is a strong word. It just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like the Lumen environment. But
yeah, the opening scene gave me like, it was like Black Mirror and Saw.
That's what I thought this was like Black Mirror-esque at first.
For sure.
Yeah.
I got a lot of like Get Out, Jordan Peele.
I can
Just
see
this
that a little
like
bit.
not like specifically like he would have done this, but I just feel like it's maybe rightfully or wrongfully so. Like I always attribute it back to that as like I feel like it's a very common idea right now of this like stuck in a conscious kind of world. Like there's an I've talked about it before. I don't think either of you guys have watched it, an HBO show called Made for Love. That's like
No.
it's also like this like tech billionaire, you know, who's like trying to like make us immortal by like uploading our conscious to the cloud. And like, you know, and there's all these scenes of like being trapped, like the consciousness is like trapped, not outside of body. And it's that very like the sunken place kind of vibe. And so I've been watching that too, like feeling like it was like Get Out-esque. And now I'm watching this and I was like, this is a very common theme in shows right now. Like
It really is
like,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very Black Mirror though.
Yeah. I also, I don't know. I think after 2 episodes, I mean, we can get into the first one like more in depth now, but I still don't know the tone or like the vibe of the show. Like, is it like funny? Is it serious? Is it like scary? I'm still
I
trying
don't
to
think
figure
it's
that out.
funny for sure. I
No.
do. It was darker than even knowing a little bit about it going in. It is darker than I thought.
Mhm.
But everyone, I don't know. I've definitely seen some clips or like a trailer at some point, but everyone's comparing it to Lost and being like, this is a series, you know, like people are so into it and they're like guessing what's going to happen. And like, but the problem is I never was into Lost. So I don't know if I'm going to get as into this. If that's the selling hook that people are like, it's like Lost, like it's a new show.
I get that. Well, okay, so the number 1 is called Good News About Hell. And basically this is kind of where we learn about the company and everything. We're kind of in the women's shoes, I think, right? I would assume, because
Yeah.
like we
Yes.
don't really know what's going on. I did like how they started with that scene, like the opening scene, and then they went immediately to explain the scene. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you didn't have to wait to the end of the episode to be like, oh, what happened? Like, just tell me. And they did.
Because I think everyone was confused as to like why she was on the table, like why she can't remember, like, and I think that actually did a very good job of explaining kind of the whole premise, because I feel like it would be like kind of wordy to explain like, okay, so your brain is severed, you have your work stuff over here, you have your personal stuff over here. I actually think like the way this episode was written explained it really well. Like it wasn't confusing to me.
I feel that too. Oh, totally. Yeah. And like, I think a lot of the times, like this type of thing, like, I don't even know what you call it, some tech thing. And I still don't understand what they actually do. I'm still confused on that. But usually
What
a lot
the
of times
company does.
yeah, I just don't have no
Like
idea
that.
what they do.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times it can get too techy and I don't know understand anything. But this is it was a good balance of like dumbing it down versus like explaining everything.
And like, I'm sure anyone who's actually watched the whole thing at this point probably knows the answer to this already, but like, I'm really wondering what this numbers game that they were playing on the
Yes.
computer is, because like, from what I can tell, they don't really do much work. But I don't, it's the whole, like, yeah, the numbers will be scary to you. Like that is definitely a mystery to me at this point, having only seen 2 episodes.
Right.
That's what I feel like that's the thing that's going to keep me going, is it's actually a mystery that I'm really interested in, because at one point you're like, if they're severed and they don't remember stuff when they leave anyways, like what's the whole point of like this encrypted, like what are they doing? Because like, you know, and what are the numbers? And then you think, obviously it's getting more dystopian and scary. So you're just like, are these like lab rats for, you know, obviously something else, or, you know, and it's just like, oh, where the hell is this going? Or most likely it's a third option that, who knows, I can't see after 2 episodes.
I mean, they gave you a lot in this first one, at least. They give you a lot of like, you even found out that his neighbor is his boss. Like, I feel like that's a huge clue that I feel like wouldn't be revealed until later on in some series. But I liked how they kind of just gave you the answers kind of immediately, but then they opened new questions.
I also was shocked to how early Petey comes in.
Yeah.
Who like
right?
That seems like it would be something that like you kind of live his life in this crazy thing for like half the season, and then there's like the turn in the middle to be like somebody from the outside is like, you know, so it's like, oh, where is this going so fast?
And like, was he let go, or was he fired, or did he quit himself? Like, did they even disclose that? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Seems
I
like
don't know if you really leave yourself though.
One of the other things that like that whole kind of interaction got me wondering though is like, yeah, like how did he unsever himself? It sounds like I got the impression he like sought it out and it was like a procedure he underwent or something. Yeah. But they like let you go. Like they're like, okay, stagger your exits, stagger your entries, but like go live your life, which kind of leads me to believe that they're like you know, do your own thing on your personal side of your life. But then again, like I think being that her boss is like kind of her neighbor, like I'm like, this is like some really weird like big brother like monitoring, but like I haven't actually seen, like I don't think anything has happened that's so creepy to me that it's like feels like something's been breached. But I'm like, why are you here? Why are you his neighbor? You know?
Right. Yeah, because like clearly she has to have some kind of, she knows like there's something up. Maybe she doesn't, but
like, is she watching for Petey is the thing I was wondering. You know what I mean?
Because like, I didn't think about that.
If they didn't want him to be unsevered and they fired him because of that or whatever, and he's now like living in, where was he, like the garage or something?
Yeah, a greenhouse.
Yeah. And then like the head of Lumen is like living right next door. It's like, well, that doesn't sound great, but
I never really thought about even how long she had lived, you know, like she could have moved in even.
Is she severed though? Maybe she has no clue.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. She plays creepy real well.
She does.
Yeah.
Like I mean, yeah, I think most people were like, oh yeah, I saw that coming. And I was like, I didn't. And it's so creepy.
Wait, that's
when he was like
what's
Mrs. Selvig, Patricia
what's her
Arquette.
name? Yeah, she's always like a villainous character. I feel like she plays that really well.
She plays villain. Yeah.
Kissing
really
Kate Barlow.
Oh yes. I was like trying to remember where I've seen her from. Or like, I mean, like I knew her name and I was like, yeah, what has Patricia Arquette been in?
She's known for like the show. I think it was Medium too. She plays villainous roles, I feel like, more than non-villainous roles.
That is, yeah, because I was thinking like, is she also watching the other people as closely, or is it just,
or is Petey maybe in charge of everything? Who knows? I feel like
what a twist! What a twist!
See, now I think talking to you guys makes me want to watch the next episodes more than I did before we started talking about it.
I was about to say this is just going to be a 6 or like an hour long of us being like, and what if Petey was?
Everyone's going to be like, oh, we already watched this. These guys are
yeah, right. We're going to spoil it, and everyone actually is like, we've seen way more than you guys have, and you have no clue what's going on.
I think it is super interesting though, because like it is such an interesting kind of going back to the concept. It's like, I don't know. I feel like this kind of gotten a little more popular during COVID, like the whole like not self-isolation, but like, what's the word? Kind of like turning work off versus not, just because working from home kind of blended that a little bit. So I wonder I don't know when this was developed, but I feel like it's definitely a familiar concept. But they definitely put a good twist on it that like it's so interesting because like I feel like you're watching and you just expect these people to live in this like office or whatever, but they do have an outside life. But the outside life seems pretty terrible and boring.
Yep.
So I don't know. Are they severed outside too? I mean, I don't know.
They are, right?
Technically, I guess they are.
Yeah, I mean, they have no clue what they do for work.
That's crazy to me. That would be, I don't know if I would like that.
So the two things that at this, and again, anyone who's actually seen this is probably gonna be like, this guy has no clue what's going on. But the two things that I could see happening is like, one, it's like you have to like either life outside is so crappy that they're just like, yeah, I'm okay, like severing, that. Or if this was like a security clearance kind of thing, like if your work was sensitive enough that you couldn't do the job unless you were severed, like it was like a job requirement, but
Oh, true.
nothing they're doing seems like sensitive enough. Like, I don't even think they know what they're doing. So like,
Well, that's like the question of what they're doing, but also like they are. I feel like at one point the way he said, and like I think it was when he was on the date talking about it, and he was like, "Oh, I'm told I'm in the corporate history section or something," as in like that's what I believe I do. I've been told that, and I've been told it's sensitive. So like, but it's not even like that's what I do. I feel like he said it in a way of like that's what I've been told.
Is
Yeah.
the point of this like essentially you're working there for the rest of your life kind of thing? Because remember, she's like, "Can I leave?" And he's like, "Yeah, but it's very hard to like resign." Essentially, she brought that up. She's like, "What if I just don't want to do this? What if I get sick of it?" And he's like, "You can put in a request, but they don't get approved often." Like, because like if you don't know what you do, you don't have any skills. How do you apply to other jobs? So maybe that's the whole point of that, I guess.
And really crazy, how he was, because they're talking about while they're inside, so they have no other like memory, and he's like, but if you quit, like this you dies, because like this you is the only you know, and so if you never come back, you don't exist. And it was like,
yeah,
whoa.
It's kind of like Westworldy too. I don't know if you guys have seen Westworld.
Yeah, it's why it just is like common thing. I don't know.
It's
a weird fetish the world has right now.
It's very interesting. I like go back and forth if I like. I mean, I liked this. Like I go back and forth. I like that concept because like it is freaky. Like and like Black Mirror, it's very realistically scary. I feel like, and this could, I don't know, this could potentially be a thing.
It is shot also like almost annoyingly well. Like I don't even mean well, but like I do mean well, but I'm saying like how it's shot, and it's like every freeze frame is this like, it's like this perfect in like how many hallways that place has, how much unused horrible space. But like every shot is done where it almost becomes so like off-putting of like you're on edge. How like the music with this too, but like the music in a lot of shows is like what like makes you really uncomfortable, like the soundtrack going on, but like this also the way it's shot makes you like kind of feel like a little claustrophobic and like uncomfortable and like on edge and being like, I don't like how this is shot.
I mean, this goes more to the second episode too, but definitely with the first, how it's shot and like laid out and what's the word? Staged. Everything is like it's like The Shining. I got really big Shining vibes because it's shot very similarly. Like it's almost like Wes Anderson-y, like very linear and even, but it's still eerie. And like The Shining is very much like that. And like especially the second episode, I got like I don't know. I think they definitely were inspired by The Shining a little bit for this.
It's got that same like crispy shot, like it's just a really crisp layout.
Right.
Very even. Yeah. I agree.
I'm trying to think through what really like, because even when you're like, this is more the second episode, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm trying to really even remember the like what happened in each episode. Because the first episode is like Helly's story getting there. She wakes up. It's like, what is Adam Scott's character's name? Mark Scout. Yeah. And like him becoming like the head now that PD's gone and training. And then it ends right with like the first outside conversation at their friend's house.
Yes, because it's a cliffhanger a little bit. What was it? It was some character that you see out and you're like, oh, I'm gonna watch the next one.
He comes home and sees the boss as his neighbor.
Yes, that's what it is.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the second episode, like PD finds him at the diner. Is like, yo, man, this is some crazy shit. You know me. Here's an address. And then I also love that his neighbor, Mrs. Selvig, just keeps calling him about like the recycle bins. He's just like, no, it's okay. Recycling's tomorrow.
I think that goes back to what Joe was saying about how she might be looking for PD in that way, where she's always wants to be in contact with him. Like she came over and delivered him whatever. And she's like, oh, this is for the recycling. And he's like, this is too much, but thank you.
Well, I thought something was in those cookies for sure.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean, I
sketched
thought he was
out,
gonna
though.
like pass out or something, which he didn't. But like when she brought over cookies, I was like, this is where he like gets knocked out and she drags him somewhere.
You always gotta watch out what people are putting in your cookies.
Exactly, and
Yes.
especially if they say it's chamomile. You gotta. She's like, it's gonna taste funny. I've been really experimenting, and I was like, something's up.
My thing with this is something that's come up the past like couple of years. I feel like when watching things and like I just getting familiar with certain actors and things, it's sometimes actors can be spoilers because like if you're typecasted, it could be a spoiler. Because Patricia Arquette is typecasted as a villain. I feel like she has to be a villain in this. Like,
Oh, she for sure is. I mean,
But,
maybe
like-
that's the twist, though, that she's actually like, it's one of those where like the last
Yeah.
episode, you're like, she was good the whole time.
for sure. But there
But
have been some
definitely not.
movies. There have been
Definitely
some
not.
things where like there's like a surprise character, but they've been evil. Like I would say more than average of their movies, they've been an evil character, and they turn out to be evil in the movie. And I'm like, it's typecasting can
Uh-huh.
almost be a spoiler for the movie or show.
Good point.
It's a good
Never
point,
thought about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like if you watch, I mean, this is a very low scale version of that, but in like the first Lord of the Rings movie, like Boromir, played by Sean Bean, he's not evil, but he's got evil tendencies in the
But
movie.
I haven't seen it, so don't spoil anything.
Okay, spoiling Fellowship of the Ring from 2001. Basically, he's not evil, but he's got evil tendencies. Like he's a man corrupted by the ring or whatever. But if you look in his other acting roles, he's always the villain. And it's like there's always, you can just tell. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong with this one, but it is cool to kind of see that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a merit to people who you don't know who get casted because like you can almost like assume they're the character a little easier.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point for sure.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's not of the type, but it's like when we always talk about how like there's certain giant names who get casted, and I'm like, I can't see their character because all I can see is the actor. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, that is Mark Ruffalo. I don't know who this character is, but that is
I
who
feel
PD
that.
kind of reminds me of. For a minute, I was gonna be like, it's Mark Ruffalo, right?
I could see that. I could see, yeah,
It could be a version.
for sure.
I do enjoy the like explain, like we were talking about with like when she wakes up on the desk, and then shortly after you see it from like Adam Scott's perspective of like what was going on. And like I really liked it when she was trying to leave and she kept like running through the door, and then like popping
Yeah.
back in, and Adam Scott was just like watching, and that's when I was like, yeah, what is going on? And then it like later shows her from like her perspective going in and realizing that like every time she goes through the door, she like her memory's cut. So she's like, was I trying to leave? And he's like, yeah, don't worry, get back in there. So she like runs back in, and I was like, oh, this is happening. And it like took me a minute to wrap my brain around that even after it was explained.
I was confused by that too, because like when she went in the door, like when you went with her, it immediately turned into basically that room again. But when she went in the second time and took like a running start, where did she go between? You remember that? Like she disappeared for a second, and then she ran through the door. Like how does that work? Because the first time she just walked right into the room again. There's no like middle ground little.
I think it was just the way they cut it. Yeah. It was just like from the view of like on one side where it just looks like she like,
Got it.
I don't know. That's why it took me a minute even while they were explaining it,
what is
basically to
happening?
be like, yeah, what is happening?
I guess I
Which
still
can be
don't
good
know,
or
really.
can be annoying.
That's true.
So
That's true. I mean, and kind of going back to the beginning of the second one called Half Loop, it gave an intro sequence, which I was kind of waiting for. And this was actually a cool one. I feel like it does what a lot of shows do, but it still sticks out a little bit as a different.
I was like, when that popped up, I was like, oh, was this on the first episode? Did I miss this somehow?
I thought the same thing. But shows do that a lot, especially recently. They've been doing that.
I guess you don't want to give some of it away too in the first episode, because like some of the kind of the
That's
intro
true.
sequences like gives a little bit of like the plot away
Yeah.
where you might not want on the first one. But it was very Apple though, in the sense of it. I don't know if you remember the morning show one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But they just like, it's this like, I like this better. The morning show is just like bouncing balls basically. But it's this idea of like it shows something and then it kind of like melts into a frame of like another thing, and then it's like this like domino waterfall.
It's very like
into more
Daredevil. I don't know if you've seen the show Daredevil.
Yeah,
It's that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of what jump started this whole, and like Westworld, like that, all that stuff has very, very similar openers.
So I have a kind of unpopular opinion about these like intro sequences on TV shows. And I don't think we've gotten a chance to talk about it because we haven't really done TV shows.
Yeah.
But I always really appreciate when like each intro sequence is slightly different. Like I think this was a really cool intro sequence. And like it didn't give anything away, but you could tell what, like, you know, you could tell why it was the way it was. But I'm going to be a little disappointed if it's just the same thing every single episode.
Probably will be.
I know because that's how it is. But like, I'm just broadcasting this to the movie industry. Like, put the effort in. Come on, let's make it like a little different.
Let's make a whole new animation for each episode.
I know it's a ton of work. Like, I totally get it. But like,
there was something,
but we want it now
on like NPR about. My mom was talking to me about this, about like intro sequences and the history of them, like iconic ones from like the past. And even it's just like weird now because like definitely some like HBO and Apple, like they definitely do put money into the intro sequences. But they were also saying that they're becoming way less of a thing now because there's the skip intro button. And so, like, actually, most people don't even watch the intro sequence. They just
that's the thing. They watch them once.
Through it. Yeah, and then they start skipping.
They know what they are, and they skip it. So,
but I will like
interesting.
One of the greats, the show Weeds. It was the same sequence every time, but the theme song, the intro song was the song Little Boxes, and every single episode they'd have a different musician cover the song.
That's really cool.
And so like you'd always like be guessing who it was, and then you'd wait until the credits to see who did the theme song that episode. But it was like cool, like you said, where it was like a little different every time.
I do appreciate that too. I would love for that to be, or at least just change it up. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe there's not an unpopular opinion, but it's just like a like
unpopular just because most people are like, well, we don't even care.
Most people don't care. Yeah, like, and I'm just like, please give me like a little bit of variation so I have a reason to not hit that skip button.
Yeah.
You guys should there's a website called theartofthetitle.com. It's really fascinating. It goes in depth with all like movies and shows and like what went behind them, and you can like what the title sequences of everything. And it's really cool. Like they do Stranger Things, and I'm sure this is on there now. But you can like, it's really cool. Like they talk to the designer, and they, you know, that there's like interviews with the designers and the animators, and it's fascinating.
I'm so into it. I also love intro sequences because they're my like, ooh, I'm getting into it. Like, here we go. And like, you know, and they like usually set the tone really well. Like, I mean, you guys know I love Succession, but like that intro,
I love that intro.
Is like one of the best intro sequences ever. And like that music, Nicholas Bertel, it's like so like, you're just like, oh, I'm ready. This sets me up exactly. Mm-hmm. And I was realizing, I started watching the second season of The Flight Attendant, and I was watching the intro sequence, and I was like, something's off. And like, it's not like it's bad, but I was like, the music and stuff was giving me like credit vibes, like for whatever reason, the tone of everything. So I was like, I'm not like being like, ooh, I'm getting into it. It kind of was like, all right, we're wrapping up. And I was like, but it was just this like very subtle thing in like an intro sequence. And I was like, oh, this is why maybe I'm particular, but it's like, it's all about getting your head into the,
I'm into that.
It's like your pre-game pump up song.
Exactly. I feel that too. And I feel like for most shows, I like always watch the intro, like even like sitcom, everything. I never skip it. I don't know. I just like to I don't know. It's calming for me to watch them, like especially like It's Always Sunny. Like I always do that,
which is a great one because they talked about this in their podcast too, though. But they just licensed available music because they didn't want to spend or didn't have the money to like get songs. So like you'll hear the Always Sunny theme song other places because it's not their song.
It's literally in
And
The
so, like-
Office too. Like they've
Oh,
used it in
really?
The Office before.
I
Shows
heard
have
it
used
on the radio the other day. Like some just random radio show like started playing that, and I was like, "Oh, this is Always Sunny music."
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that though. That's super cool. But
What were we watching? What show were we?
Severance. So we kind of. Oh, also Ben Stiller directed the second episode. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I think he did the
he
first.
do the
Isn't
first
this
one?
like his? I think it's like his show.
Oh, really?
Or I mean, I don't know. I don't think he wrote it, but let's check. I don't think it was just like a guest. Yeah, directed by Ben Stiller and Phoebe McCarty. Because I noticed that on the first episode too, and I just thought like every time, even was shocked again, even once I knew on the second episode, and I was like, oh, Ben Stiller, right? He like directs. He's like,
Yeah, I like him as a director.
but
Oh,
I just picture anytime Ben Stiller's name comes up, I just think of Zoolander for some reason.
nice.
And I'm like, this is very, I'm just like, is this going to turn into like Zoolander?
That would be ridiculous. The creator, Dan Erickson, according to IMDb, this is his only credit. Writer and producer of Severance. And then his other credit was a thanks in Man vs. Animal.
Coming out of the gate strong.
I know, I was going to say, not bad. But overall, I think collectively, we had very similar opinions. And you guys would watch the next episodes, or because you haven't already?
Yeah, I would. I probably will.
I probably will. I'd probably at least give it another. I think it was a little slow, but I think I'll give it another couple episodes.
Yeah. I'll plan on watching the rest. It could be one where I just totally forget about it, and then someone's like, "Oh, right, Severance." And I'll be like, "Oh my god, right, I was supposed to watch that."
You could also just pick episode 3 and 4 for your next
whole
pick.
year.
Jesse's like, I'm gonna force you to watch.
I do. I mean, it is funny because people are like relating it to Lost and like the people following it and guessing.
Mm-hmm. I could see that a little
But
bit.
I mean, I guess maybe it still came out not all at once. We're just like late to the game. But I was gonna say, like, it's just funny that it feels like when stuff was on TV, it took like Lost was just an ever going thing and people talked about it like over. And now it's just like, oh yeah, season 1's done. We're on to the next thing until season 2 comes out. Like,
Right. It is weird. It is so weird how that works. Like part of me likes it, part of me doesn't. Like I like waiting for a show, but also I like being able to watch everything. I feel like at least Disney Plus, they've been doing that where they release an episode a week or something like that.
I like it. I mean, HBO obviously still does it because they technically have an HBO channel that things are released on. Just nobody, I think, subscribes to the HBO channel. I was gonna read a 1-star review, and then I started looking, and I was like, I think these will have spoilers in them, so I'm gonna not.
You can read it. Oh, you mean for the whole series?
I don't want to keep reading them. Yeah, because they're talking about like, the whole
okay.
season. People are reviewing.
Dang.
But there are 1-star reviews.
Okay.
They exist.
I think the cast is good. I think I like everyone in the cast.
Cast is very good.
Christopher
Adam
Walken?
Scott looks.
How did we feel about that?
What? That was so random.
I know. I agree.
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. He's got to be the evil mastermind, right?
Probably. I don't know.
His
I feel like
name's
you don't
too
see
big of a
characters
name.
that late.
Right. He's too big of a name to just be like, oh, he's in for one episode.
Right.
And for a very short amount of time.
Yeah, maybe he's just on set and they were like, you want to pop in, do a cameo?
Possibly. I kind of looked up locations, a little bit for these. New Jersey and New York City is where this was shot. So the Lumen building, the exterior and interior, takes place at Bell Laboratories in Holmdel Township, New Jersey. And then the Industries building, I don't know what the Lumen Industries building, what the difference is, but Holmdel, New Jersey as well. And then everything else takes place in New York City, at least for the first 2 episodes. So
I'm going to say with the cast too, I like Zach Cherry.
Which one's that?
who's like the other worker who's not John
The beard.
Turturro. Yeah.
Got it.
Who just like always plays that like I don't know that character, but so well. But he's a comedian, and like now I feel like now he's like because he's in Severance. This was like a huge thing for him. But I was gonna say like, oh, like I'm just glad to see him and like happy he's doing work. And I clicked him because I was like, he's in other stuff. I just like don't think second credit he's known for after this Drunk Bus.
Oh my God. No
Yeah.
way.
How about that?
We're
Wait,
just
that's
picking Zach Cherry
hilarious.
movies.
We love Zach Cherry on this podcast.
Big Zach Cherry fans. Welcome to the Zach Cherry pod.
I love that. Do you guys want to rate?
Sure. Kick us off, Jess.
I'm gonna go last, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I can go first. I'll go first.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1 and 2. I like the show. I think it was exactly what I expected from just not knowing anything about it. I just kind of went in completely blind. I didn't know what it was about or anything. But based on like the album art or like the poster art and just kind of the vibe, like the first you get the vibe the first like 10 minutes, not even the first 5 minutes. You're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like a techie dark, I don't know, dystopian. Like exactly what you're getting. And I don't not like that genre. It's just not my go-to. If it's done well, I'll watch it. And I think these were done pretty well. I like the cast. Adam Scott looks old. I don't know if that was his makeup or if he just looks old.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to just describe Adam Scott, and Rich was like, oh, he was like, I was like, oh, he's like in Parks and Rec, and he was like, oh, the really young guy in Parks and Rec, and I go, it's like, yeah, I guess. And then we immediately watched it, and all I could think of is like how old he looks.
I think it was makeup too, because I think it's like a draining job, and like I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen anything but recently, but yeah, he was great. The cast was great. I like the concept. It's really interesting, really different. It's kind of Matrixy too, a little bit. Like take the green or the blue or the red pill kind of thing. Yeah, I would watch a couple more episodes. I think for me it's harder to get into series. So I think that I'm a little the fact that it got me to watch the other ones, I think that's a good thing. Because I don't know, I'm pretty hard at stopping. If after like an episode, I'm like, nah. If there's 8 more episodes, I'm not gonna watch it.
Well, I was gonna say for a rating system, you could do. I think there's 9 episodes. You can say how many episodes you'll give it out of 9. Of like how many you'll go to be convinced.
I mean, I think I'll go 1 by 1 in this one. I'll give it another one. I'll see how I feel about that.
Like I give it a 2 out of 9.
I'm interested enough to watch another episode. Let's just say that. So I'm not against it. I liked it enough. I was actually like every time I left the room, I would like pause it. So I was like, I was that interested enough where I was curious. I do want to see what happens.
Yeah, cool.
So I think I'm gonna go episode 1. I think I'm gonna give I'll give a 6. I'm gonna go cherries because now we love Zach Cherry. So
Zach Cherries.
And then episode 2, I'm gonna give a 7 because I think it was a little better. I think it's picking up a little bit. I hope that the momentum continues and it doesn't plateau. Because I think for me, that's what Rumen shows is like it gets really the first episode, sometimes it goes off really strong and then it just like evens out for like 3 episodes. And like you have to wait till number 7. I'm like, why? Why can't they just
wait till 7?
Why can't you just make it exciting in the second one?
You have to wait till episode 9 till it gets real good.
I've literally heard that, not this about this show, but some shows be like, you have to give it to like the 5th one. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But some people do like the buildup and the character development and all that stuff. So to each their own.
Cool.
So you're doing both episodes?
Yeah, I did 6 and 7 cherries.
6.5.
Okay. So
average score.
I'm gonna go with mango cakes
Ooh.
as my unit here.
were you bought into like, you were like, I joined that program when they rolled the melon bar out?
Yeah, if I wasn't so like weirded out by the whole thing, absolutely. That would have been enough for me.
You're like, I don't want to do this. And we're like, melon bar. And you're like,
I'm in.
all right,
Ooh.
cut it
I mean,
open.
food makes everything better. So
Yeah.
especially when it's free.
But like I'd probably go like a solid 7.5 melon cakes for the first episode. I think it was enough of a hook to keep me going. And that's honestly the biggest, that I feel like that's the bar to meet in a first episode. We kind of already talked about like all the reasons why that's interesting, but like, so I'll give that first episode 7.5. And I think the second one dropped off a little bit, but I kind of think that's normal. Like now they're introducing you PD and like kind of like moving the story forward. So like, I just think it was a little slower. So I'm going like 6.5
Interesting.
melon cakes, but I do think it would probably pick back up. So like, I'm going to stick around for a while and see if I can watch the rest of it.
Nice.
All right.
Cool.
All right. I'm gonna go, man. I never think of units beforehand. And I always hit this point. I'm like, I should have had something ready. I'm gonna just 7, both 7 across the board. Chamomile cookies.
I don't want those.
It sounds like something JoJo would be, to be honest.
That's true.
So have her recreate those. She can do like a binging with Babish, but recreating the cookies of Severance. It is really good. It's darker than I thought. Like I wasn't, until I watched the trailer like right before I started, I was like, oh, this is like actually very dystopian scary. I knew what it was about, but I didn't realize it was going to go down the like dark, scary, psychological thriller kind of trail as much as it clearly is going to. Right. But it was still good. It's like shot really interestingly, like really well and cool. But again, it's like almost to the point where it's like, I don't like how cool it was shot because it's like why it's unsettling. But the cat, like, I think I'll keep watching, but it's not like my favorite. But also, again, like very not up my alley of like dystopian.
Not up your alley
thriller.
or up your alley?
Not.
So you don't like dystopian things?
I very rarely want to sit down and be like,
I don't like them either. Really.
Let's see this terrible thing. If I hit that point, you're gonna be like, Jesse's crushing it outside of this because he's like actively looking for this stuff now. So
I'm kind of in the same wavelength as I don't like love dystopian stuff.
It's creepy. Yeah, especially with all this. And when it gets like really like, again, why I think this reminded me more of like Jordan Peele-esque of like real scary versus like how I was comparing it to Made for Love. It's true. You do like occasionally watching a horror movie. But like comparing it to Made for Love on HBO, that is like also this like weird tech giant trying to like change people's consciousness, but it's very much a comedy. Like it is very funny. It's not as dark. Like it's almost like the same thing, but taken in a total comedy direction versus a like terrifying horror direction. And so like I'm taking the Made for Love every day if I have to sit down.
Yeah. Like I love like obviously horror, everything horror, but this is almost, I don't know. There's something about dystopian horror that is like almost not too real, but I don't know.
Well, especially when it is. It's like at least it tries to place it closer to like this could really happen. Here this is, rather than like there are dystopian things where you're like it's dystopian, but it's this like whole other dystopian world.
It's like Mad Max. Yeah.
And you're like, maybe we're like 2 years out from Mad Max, not like one tomorrow.
Yeah, totally.
7.
Cool. I'm into it. To talk about some news. Any news? You guys been watching anything?
I was going to mention to you guys, although who knows when this will come out. Dana works for it's called Art and Healing, and they have a film festival kicking off on June 5th that I think is like,
Ooh.
I think there's a launch event, maybe in New York City or something, but it's like an online streaming all these films to check out.
Sweet.
This might come
I'm
out
into it.
after, but it should be online at artsandhealing.com I think for the year. So there's
What
that.
kind of film festival is it?
I don't really know if there's a theme to what the films are.
I'm thinking
Or
like
not.
I'm thinking like
It's
what's
like
the
the new
word?
Sundance.
Well, you said what was it? Something healing?
Arts and it is like, I think it has to do with like mental
thinking-
health.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's called like something to do with loneliness. So it's actually probably centered around that. But it's not like, I don't believe it's like documentaries about that. It's just
okay,
like,
I was thinking like
it's like
natural
films-
healing and like yoga and meditation and all this other stuff.
maybe
which-
some, but it is a like arts and healing. It's not like a necessarily alternative, but like she was a music therapist before.
Right,
And this has
right.
to do with like getting arts into
Yeah,
medicine and healing.
different
programs.
forms of healing. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
into it. All right, that's cool. That's
And
cool.
films I've been watching.
Have you
I
guys ever-
watched.
sorry, go
Sorry,
ahead.
no, you go.
I was just gonna say, have you guys ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
That's what I was thinking of when I
No.
was saying like a dystopian that isn't necessarily
Yeah.
is
I-
Idiocracy. And
I
Jack
didn't realize it
Shepherd's-
until this very moment, but like apparently I've been on a dystopian kick because we just watched Idiocracy not too long ago, and it's just like it's such a funny, stupid movie, but also is like, God, I hope this doesn't actually happen because
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
it's a great cult film. It's I think it's Luke Wilson and Dak Shepard.
yeah, it is. It's Luke Wilson, Maya Rudolph, Dax Shepard, Terry Crews.
My Rudolph. Oh, Terry,
Yep.
man. I think it was one of those films too that like bombed for like in the theaters and after for a few years, and then they like got picked up as like a cult. You know, like people were like, "Oh, we love this movie," and it
Yeah,
became like
there's
a
a
real
lot
cult
that
classic.
Yeah,
Joe, you should watch it. I mean, it's a really dumb movie, but you might like it.
I think
Alright,
you
I'll
would.
give
It is good.
I'll give it a shot. I love Terry Crews and I love the cast.
Yeah, I actually think this is one you might actually really like.
Cool, I'm into it.
Yeah.
All right,
But
all right.
that was that. I haven't been watching a ton of movies. I'm still watching my Man in the High Castle, but Idiocracy is the only other like movie I've watched recently.
Mhm.
Actually, that's not true. I went and saw the Multiverse of Madness. I saw.
I haven't seen it yet. How is it?
I liked it. I liked it better than I thought I would. I didn't really
Okay.
know much about it going into it, but it was a lot darker than I expected.
Yeah, Sam Raimi. He did like the Evil Dead.
Oh.
He did the OG Spider-Mans.
but
That's
I
probably
really
why-
I really liked how dark it was, though.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, you say he did the OG Spider-Mans?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, no wonder I liked
There
it.
you go. There you go.
This was his first Marvel movie since Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, like there were parts of this that I'm like, damn, like, this could be a horror movie.
Yeah, he did horror a lot, so it makes
So
sense.
yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. But yeah, like it was well done, well written, which I mean, I feel like I kind of come to expect at this point. But it was also different enough from like your typical superhero movie, just because Doctor Strange is so weird.
Right.
But
I know I
Yeah.
need to watch it.
I enjoyed it. It was
Cool.
fun.
I'm into it. And we watched Fresh on Hulu. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. With Sebastian
Which-
Stan and I'm blanking on the girl. Basically, it's good. I'd be curious to hear what you think about it. It's like it's horror, but it's got like kind of like a not comedic, but it's I don't know. I would be curious. It's a lot of people are watching it right now. There are some moments where it's a little gory, I will say, but it's gave me Get Out vibes a little bit. I don't know. Basically this girl is kidnapped essentially. I would just be curious to hear what you guys think about it. But it's pretty
Alright.
good. It's pretty good.
Alright.
Sebastian Stan did a great job. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like crazy new. I feel like a lot of people were saying it was a lot of things, a lot of new things, but clearly those people haven't watched a lot of horror because I've seen this movie before.
Well, that's what happens when like something goes mainstream and people are like, I've never seen this before. And it's like, because you don't watch these things.
Exactly, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I feel like it's a good thing because then it opens other people's eyes to this, but then again, I don't know if it actually draws them to watch other movies like this. They're like, oh, that was cool. I want it done. I'm into it, but I don't want to watch anymore.
Mhm.
And then new A24 movie called X I watched. Fantastic. It was really good. It was very different than what I was expecting. I kind of went in blind. But basically it's about it's in the 70s. It's kind of based in the 70s and it's about this group of people and they get like it's Airbnb essentially, like on a farm. And there's like a main house and there's the house they're living in. And the main house is owned by these two old people and they're shooting a porn in this other house. And it's just like the old people just become weirder and weirder and shit goes down.
Yeah, I've seen this movie before. This sounds
It's
this is
super
very
interesting.
classic. Like someone's on vacation and then they're like, these people are weird. We're renting from.
Yep. And then I'm trying to think what else.
I
Oh,
think I fit all my stuff I'm watching in while I talk about movies. So I was like,
yeah.
Made for Love, the new season of Barry.
I need to recap.
Great.
I like that show. I just
It's
haven't
good.
continued on
Yeah.
it, but
Started the flight attendant, have not kept going. Oh, and the new season of Hacks, but only like an episode. So
nice.
that's HBO right now.
May 27th in 5 days, Top Gun comes out, which I've been hearing crazy reviews, like amazing reviews on it. Like I've heard it's like unbelievable, which is shocking a little bit to me because they went through so many reshoots and stuff, but I don't doubt Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I think he learned, I don't know about the first movie because he was pretty young, but I know for this one, I'm pretty sure he learned how to fly every single jet.
It's so great. It's hilarious.
That'd be such a fun movie to.
I know, but it's got a great cast like Miles Teller, Glenn Powell. It's going to be good. I'm very excited about it. But on the same day, Stranger Things comes out. So that'll be a big day. It'll break records.
I feel like we're going to go through like basically from now until the end of the year. There's just going to be so many things coming out because everything was so like backlogged from when they couldn't shoot.
Totally. Oh yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be so many things to watch.
Stuff for us to watch, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. Is that a wrap?
Rip rap.
Rip rap.